Alright, did Kyle Larson pull a Ross Chastain and wall ride at the end of Sunday's race at Richmond? Well, there's two different videos that have come out about this potential wall ride, and I'll let you make your own conclusions when I show you both of the videos here in a second. The first video looks like it was shot through a potato. It was shot from the grandstands, and shout out to the person, Captain Birthday 7 on Twitter, that posted the video. That was the first video that came out. And thankfully somebody had a video of it, so then we can talk about this, because if not, then we just have what people are saying on Twitter, and you can't rely on that at all. So there is a video of it. Unfortunately, it's in the worst resolution possible. Like, you can pick out the pixels. It's so pixelated, it has to be shot in, I don't know, what is that, 240 maybe, potentially? It makes the Zapruder film look like it was shot in 4K. You can clearly see what hit JFK in the Zapruder film. You can't see anything in this video, other than the fact that there might have been a car up against the wall. And when I say that it was really bad, I mean, like, remember that first LG flip phone you got and you thought it was the coolest thing in the world because you could take photos and could take videos and your videos looked like absolute garbage, but you didn't care because you were taking videos on your phone. That's what this looks like, but worse, somehow. Take a look at the video real quick. Listen, I told you it wasn't going to be good. I told you the resolution was going to be incredibly bad, and it was. But, hear me out, and trust me, that was Kyle Larson that you saw. And I know, the comments, this is why I'm saying, just trust me, it was Kyle Larson. And you're probably thinking, before I showed you that video, that he was racing for the win, or a playoff transfer spot like he was Ross Chastain at Martinsville. And you'd be wrong, because he was racing for 19th. And that's not great. But another video did come out that has disputed, in a sense, on what that really grainy video showed. And again, it was really bad resolution. So that's probably why people, including myself, thought that potentially Kyle Larson did wall ride. It turns out it wasn't like Ross Chastain at Martinsville. It actually was more of like Kyle Larson wrecked in a sense. So here's the second video, and what you're going to see is from his dash video that thankfully somebody posted to the internet on Monday night. And it shows that he was running the wall going into turns 1 and turns 2, like Kyle Larson does. That's what he does. Kyle Larson runs the wall, so he's just doing Kyle Larson things, goes down the backstretch, goes into 3 and 4, up against the wall, and then it gets into the wall. And I think he's just more frustrated than Mets fans at that point, and he decided to just leave it in the wall because who the hell even cares at this point? Just put it there and drive off the corner, finish 19th, last car on the lead lap, couldn't get around his teammate Alex Bowman. And yeah, so that's the Kyle Larson wall ride. It wasn't so much of a wall ride as it was just Kyle Larson, I think, being angry at himself and getting into the wall after a pretty abysmal day for Hendrick Motorsports top to bottom at Richmond, and just kind of leaving it in the wall. And that's the result that you get, is him just bouncing off the wall until he gets there and whatever else. So after the Ross Chastain incident at Martinsville, Kyle Larson called it a bad look for the sport, and I jumped on him immediately on Monday or Sunday night after he did the same thing, what we thought was the same thing at Richmond, and said it's not a great look for the sport when you have guys doing a wall ride like that. He clearly gained no positions, and definitely didn't seem like he was even doing it on purpose. So NASCAR has no reason to really look at this, and it wasn't a very egregious action. It doesn't even warrant more than 30 seconds of them going like, yeah, he just got into the wall and then just didn't come off of it. And like I said, it was for 19th place, so not exactly a lot for him to gain there. Just a bad day for Hendrick Motorsports. If you're a Hendrick Motorsports fan, top to bottom, they had what appeared to be speed at the beginning and then no speed at the end there. And it will be interesting to see how NASCAR does potentially police this wall ride thing going forward. Obviously, they outlawed it after Ross Chastain did at Martinsville so famously, for obvious safety reasons, because of that crossover gate. If something bad goes there, then you have like a Mike Harmon, Michael Waltrip incident at Bristol, and that's just not good for anybody involved, especially with the next-gen car and how people do still have some sort of safety concerns about it. But at the same time, it will be interesting to see how they police it at places like Homestead, Darlington, Kansas, even Bristol, where you're running up against the wall. And I know there's ways to, like, clearly, like, you can look at the SMT data. If somebody just has their foot to the floor, just turning into the wall to use it to kind of slingshot themselves around, video game style, Ross Chastain style, then yeah, like, that's where you're going to be like, maybe don't do that anymore. But at the same time, we haven't really seen anybody attempt it, and this wasn't an attempt. Richmond is a place that maybe you could make that happen, though, just because there is a ton of off throttle time getting into the corner and you want to roll the center, and then getting back to the gas does take some throttle management most times, because you see guys slide off of turn 4 all the time. So yeah, I mean, that's a place that you could potentially do it at, but for 19th place, I don't really see that happening. If you were like, oh, Denny Hamlin put it against the wall and tried to catch Chris Buescher, I'd be like, okay, then like, well, that's a penalty, in Denny Hamlin's own words. It just didn't happen that way. So that's the Kyle Larson, was it a wall ride saga? Clearly it was not. I'm sure somebody in the comments will say that it definitely was, but everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. So, like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok @BrakeHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads @BrakeHardBlog.